All right, are we seeing the screen now? Okay, very good. Well, we are off and running. So welcome to Why FEMBA 101. My name is Dylan Stafford. I'm the Assistant Dean of Admissions here with Anderson in the Fully Employed MBA program. So it is my pleasure to host you tonight. So thank you for being here. So I thought we would start with, we'll just do this if everybody knows where the chat feature is. Hopefully you've been on a Zoom or two this week. Just go ahead and put your location into the chat feature and we'll see what we see in terms of where everyone is logging in from. So take a second and tell us where you're coming in from. Los Angeles, Newport Beach, Seattle, San Francisco, Culver City, Murrieta, San Diego, Chicago, Weehawken, New Jersey, Oakland, Toronto, San Francisco, Torrance, the Valley, Australia. Oh my gosh, Kay Sunito is joining us from Australia. Irvine, Rancho Cucamonga, New York City, Bijan. Oh my goodness. Kelly's in Pasadena. 818, Alana, represent. Okay, Bianca's in Venice. Okay, very good. Very great. Well, that is just a typical global representation. I love it. And now I'm going to turn on the polling feature. And I'm going to ask 3 questions, and we'll see if we can't just take a second. I'm going to ask, how far are you from UCLA and Westwood? How long have you been working remotely? Is this your first week, second week, over 2 weeks? Are you still going to the office? Are you a first responder? Are you a critical role? Or were you working remotely before COVID-19? And then I have the third question, how is COVID-19 affecting your MBA planning? Will you be more likely to begin your MBA this year? Not sure, or less likely? So I'm going to launch this poll. So we'll get that going. And let's see if this works. All right, can everybody see the poll sufficiently to complete it? There we go, here come the answers. Oh, okay, I see answers coming in. 33 people have voted, 56%, 61%, 68%. I like your quote there in the chat box, Brian. Very good, very good. All right, 81% of you have voted, 84%. All right. All right, 10 seconds, we'll end the poll, come back together, see what results we get. All right, 5, 4, 3. Okay, there's one more, 2. Last chance, and we will end the poll. All right, now can you see the poll or not? There we go. Let me share the results. All right, so I'm sharing the poll results. Attendees are now viewing the poll results. So 23% of you are within 10 miles. 40% of you are 10 to 40 miles away. 9% 40 to 80 miles away. 9% over 80 miles away. So 7 of you would fly from within California. Excellent. 5 of you would fly from outside of California. Let's see, how are we doing on the working remotely? 20% are in their first week. Okay, half of us are in our second week of working remotely. Over 2 weeks. Okay, good. You guys got the message early. All right, 9% are still going to the office, and 7% worked remotely before. All right, more likely to begin. Okay, interesting. Not sure. Yeah, I think a lot of people are in the not sure. Less likely to begin. Okay, excellent. Well, that's fascinating. We're just as curious as you all are about how this is going to play out and what's it going to do for the impact of the MBA on your career, and whether this will be the better year to start or not as good a year. We're all learning that together. All right, so I'll stop sharing that. Okay, so for all of you here, thank you for joining us. It's our pleasure to have you. This is me. I am an assistant dean. As I said, my MBA is from Chicago Booth. I earned an MBA with concentrations in finance and marketing. I grew up in Texas. I went to Texas A&M, where I earned a BA in history. My post-MBA world was 6.5 years with Siemens. I started in Santa Clara, with a subsidiary, got to go to their world headquarters in Munich, Germany. I'll tell you about that in a little while. I left Siemens in 0102 after 9/11, came to Los Angeles in 2002. I'm in my 18th year. I have a drive time podcast. We're actually getting that going again. I just released a new episode over the weekend of an interview with the military alum named Joel Searles. I just put that on YouTube over the weekend. I've written 2 books since I started working at UCLA. Entrepreneurship is in the water at UCLA. I always thought I'd be a writer. I got to UCLA, started hanging out here, and I've written 2 books. Building a Winning Organization, I wrote in 2018. Daddy Muscles is a personal story I wrote in 2010. I teach Stand and Deliver, which is a business communications workshop series. I teach Leadership Labs, which is a post-admit opportunity. And those of you who get admitted this year will be invited to 3 Leadership Labs, 1 each at the end of April, May, and in mid-June, where I'll be co-hosting those with UCLA Medicine, UCLA Public Health, UCLA Social Welfare, and our executive MBA students. So that'll be a 3-module pre-MBA onboarding, optional but available opportunity. So I'm a teacher here, and I'm a cheerleader. I've spoken to well over 12,000 people on behalf of UCLA. That's a very conservative number. So it's my pleasure to have this time with you tonight. And in terms of what I want to do, here, if you want to get a quick screenshot, this is where you can find our podcasts that are online, either at SoundCloud or at my blog. So if you want to take a picture of either of those. And I'm getting a message, my internet is unstable. I hope I can make this work. Okay, this is my team. I already told you about Raymond there in the top right corner. He is our Director of Marketing and Communications. Roy Quinto in the middle on the top is our newest team member. Christy on the top left has been with us coming up on a decade. And Cynthia on the bottom left is the voice of Anderson's executive and fully employed MBA programs. Chris is our Director of Admissions Operations. And Erin there on the bottom right is an extremely important team member. She will receive your transcripts when you go through the application journey. So this is the team of us. All of us do one-on-ones, primarily Christy, Roy, and Raymond, with Chris and I helping out. Cynthia and Erin answer all manner of questions along the way, but we're all here for you from small to large questions as you go through your pre-MBA and post-admission journey leading up to orientation. Also, we have our FEMbassador Corps. We have over 50 volunteers, current and actually some alumni students. If you go to our FEMBA website and you look at the Connect with a Student page, Raymond manages this cadre of students. They're all volunteers. They're just like you. They're working. They have full lives, but they love Anderson, and they share their time with us. And and they're there for you. And their LinkedIn profiles, their current email addresses are all available. So any questions that we don't get to tonight, other opinions, how did this work for you? Just feel free to take advantage of connecting with any of our student FEMbassadors. Okay, so here's our rough agenda. We have an hour and a half scheduled. The first hour is really you and UCLA and why that might be a match made in heaven. Like I said, we're going to have 2 breakout small group room sessions to keep this interactive. We'll try to end the first 2/3 right around 7. And I'll take questions and answers. I can answer them out loud. Raymond can answer questions in the chat box. We may have some current students on with us tonight. Samantha Holland may join us. So we may have, some guests kind of coming in during the, Samantha texted me. She won't be able to join tonight probably. But we'll do our best to get all your questions answered. And then after 7:30, if you want to follow up with the team for one-on-ones, we're all working remotely. So we've got lots of time on our calendars for one-on-ones to continue coaching you and helping guide you forward. So this is a question for you, wherever you may be, from Australia to New York to Rancho Cucamonga. Why should you invest in you? And usually I do this interactive with an audience, but as we're remote, the answer I'm looking for is you should invest in you, because if you don't invest in you, who's going to do that? Companies are busy. Companies are about to be in a recession, is what everybody predicts. Training budgets are going to be tough to come by. But it's a funny thing about MBA education. We're somewhat counter-cyclical. Graduate schools of business, especially the top schools, always see a sharp uptick as a recession or slowdown to the economy kicks in. And the reason for that is people know, hey, things are slowing down. There may be a little bit of value in retooling my toolkit, getting myself ready, because when the economy starts to heat back up again, I'll be better positioned than people who just wait it out. So you should invest in you, because if you don't invest in you, it's very possible that no one else is going to do it for you. So that's the answer to that rhetorical question. This is my opinion. Anybody, we got creeping up on 80 people from all over the world on this webinar tonight. If you're on this webinar, you're already employed, you're already educated. You're not a random cross sample of society. You're a very unique subset of accomplished, educated, employed people who are looking to take their life forward. So if that's who you are, this is my graph for the next 30, 40, 50, 60 years of your life. Even without UCLA, you're going to be a successful person. And that's a wonderful thing. But you're here, I'm here, we're talking. So I can't get this, trying to get this thumbnail to be a little bit smaller. Oh, let's see, now I messed it up. Oh, because I'm recording this. All right, I can't get this out of the way. My apologies for that tech stuff as I work my way through this. All right, I'm gonna just leave this here. Oh, no, sorry. Okay, we're gonna leave it over there. So this is you without UCLA, and this is you with UCLA. And that's what we're talking about, right? Let me review. That's you without UCLA. Are you gonna have ups and downs? For sure. But is your life basically gonna go up? Yeah. You're educated, you're employed, you're a hardworking person. You have high aspirations for your life. But if you add UCLA, if you add the education, if you add the peer group, the network of current and alumni students, if you add that to your professional portfolio, your professional reality, put all that together, you're going to give yourself a higher trajectory. And that's one of my points. I'm going to suggest that trajectory beats position. One of the most important things that any of us can do with our life is to aim high. And the higher we aim, the better things typically go. So I'm inviting you tonight to think about, I could do this on my own. I could try to weather this story. I'm going back a couple slides. That's me without UCLA. But I'm suggesting that you want to give yourself the best advantages that you can. That includes the education, that includes the network, and that includes the confidence that comes with graduate school in general and an MBA in particular, and UCLA in particular, and UCLA Anderson in specific. So I'm going to say that trajectory beats position. So let me tell you a quick story. This is my story. Long time ago, almost 30 years ago. I was young, just graduated from Texas A&M, as I told you. And I had a BA in history. Thought I was going to go to law school. The world wasn't exactly beating a path to my door. And I was wondering, what am I going to do with my future? So I want to tell you about some wow MBA results that I created for myself. So there's the first dot there. That's 1991. I graduate Texas A&M. I didn't have any student debt. I paid for my undergrad with my merit scholarships, and I waited tables in the summers. Got my first job. I was a college recruiter at Texas A&M. I made $16,800 a year. Now, all my friends were fifth-year seniors, so I was still living like a college person. And I had a $16,800 salary. So, hey, that seemed like a raise. I thought I was doing great. And when you're living like a college person, I was riding a motorcycle, lived in a small apartment in the woods. You could call it apartment. It was a room. It had a room and a bathroom. Didn't have a kitchen. I had a microwave and a sink and a little college dorm. So I ate a lot of oatmeal. And I went out with my friends a lot. And I was having a great life. And I had a motorcycle, so I didn't have to pay to park. I thought I was living the dream. All my friends were still around. The only time my little world didn't work was when it rained. And when it rained and I was riding a motorcycle to work in College Station, Texas, I had the thought at the back of my mind, where am I going to put a wife and family? You can't really carry a wife and family around in a motorcycle in the rain. So I started looking at grad school. My mom's a teacher. My father is a minister. I didn't know anything about business. It used to annoy me that I didn't know what to do with the business section of the newspaper. So I found out about MBAs. I applied to Chicago. I had family members who'd gone there. I wanted to have an experience outside of Texas. So I went to Chicago for 2 years, from 1993 to 1995. And it cost me about $99,000. It was $42,000 in tuition plus 2 years of living expenses. My grandmother gifted me, God bless her, with $20,000. So I walked out of Chicago, $79,000 of student loans, and I got my first post-MBA job working at Siemens in 1995 in San Jose, Santa Clara. I was in the Bay Area for 2 years, and I tripled my salary. I went from $16,800 to $55,000. Wow, that was a wow MBA result. I didn't know how to get to $55,000 from where I was post Texas A&M at 16,000 in College Station. So the MBA did what it was supposed to do. It put me in a new city, in a new career, tripled my salary. And two years after, I worked hard those first 2 years at Siemens, and I was a squeaky wheel. I told everybody who would listen that I wanted to go to Germany. And I earned a 3-year promotion to go to the world headquarters in Munich, Germany. And I got a corporate apartment. I had a cost of living allowance. And by the time the dust settled, my take-home salary from Santa Clara to Munich, Germany, was double. My monthly cash flow doubled, and I paid off about half of my student loans while I lived in Germany. And I got to be paid to live in the world headquarters of a Fortune 50 company and see all the seasons change. And I traveled all over Europe. For me, as a little person from East Texas, it was a huge opening to my life. I left Denison, Texas, the small town where I grew up. I left Denison for Texas A&M. There were twice as many students at Texas A&M as there were people in my town. So my world got bigger in undergrad. And then I left the bubble of College Station for the big city of Chicago. And I left the comfort of undergrad for the challenge of an MBA. And it launched me into the Silicon Valley. And that launched me into a global, one of the most beautiful cities in the world, if you've ever been to Munich. And, and I was paid for 3 years. I got to learn another language and somebody else paid for me to do it. So those are two of my wow MBA results, starting with Siemens in 95, getting promoted to Munich 2 years after, tripling my salary out of the gate, doubling it yet again. And then ultimately I got laid off after 9/11, but I had fallen in love with a woman who is now my wife, my forever wife, who's in the room next door, cooking dinner for my children. And she was coming to Los Angeles with a promotion in her career. So I was mobile. I came to Los Angeles, and because I had an MBA, I got a foot in the door at UCLA 18 years ago. And now I have one of the coolest jobs in the world. I get to meet people like you all. I get to do things like this. I get to work with an incredible team, Raymond, Christy, Chris, Roy, Aaron, Cynthia. My team is incredible. The extended FEMBA team are really great people, a bunch of hardworking people. We all work 6 days a week, more often than not, because you guys come to class on nights and weekends. The faculty that we get to work with, the alumni of UCLA. So that's my wow MBA result. And tonight, I use that as an example to get your thinking started about what kind of wow MBA results you can create for yourself. So that's what I want to talk about next, right? The night that we're in, the webinar we're having is called Why FEMBA 101. So why would you want to invest in yourself? Why would you make a 6-figure investment in yourself? Why would you spend 15 or 20 or 25 hours a week investing in your own growth and development for the 2.5 or 3 years that it takes people to do the fully employed MBA program? Because our fully employed MBA program is the very same diploma as our full-time, very same diploma as our executive. All of the people who earn their MBA at UCLA Anderson get the very same diploma. One pool of faculty teaches all of our students, full-time, part-time, executive. Any of the 3 pathways, you're taught by the same faculty. You become part of the same alumni network. You're a full citizen of Anderson, and you take advantage of the plethora of opportunities for networking and professional growth and development that abound at our school. We got a brand new $80 million building that we would be broadcasting from today, but we're all working remotely because of the quarantine. So Anderson is an amazing place to be a part of. And what I want you looking at tonight for yourself, what would a wow MBA result look like for you? So what we're going to do, we're 20 minutes into this night. I am going to send you into groups. I'm probably going to send you into groups of about 4 people. And what I'm going to ask you to do is kind of self-facilitate. And I'm going to give you 8 minutes, so roughly 2 minutes a person. These are some starter questions. Who are you? Name, company, title, where you went to school before. And what's a wow MBA result that you are seeking for your career? It can be short term, medium term, long term. But share with your group mates what it is that you're looking for. And then the bonus question I added for tonight, obviously, unique to this quarantine situation, is how long have you been remote? So I'm going to send you into groups. I hope you can all hear me. I'm just making sure I got all these controls going. Raymond, are we good? We back live? I hope you enjoyed meeting some people from around the world, around the country. And thanks, Raymond. All right, so we're going to continue on now. And what I want to look at next, is our tagline. If you know anything about UCLA Anderson, we've had this as an idea about the culture of our school for about 8 years. Think in the next. You see it on all of our buildings. You see it on all of our websites and all our materials. What we're communicating with this slogan tagline is we're a California-based school. We're a border. We're a school located where America meets Asia, where America meets Latin America. The United States of America meets Latin America, meets Mexico and South America. We're a place where media and technology converge. We're a place where science is converging with all of the nanotech coming up from San Diego and Orange County, with all the aerospace in the South Bay, with all of the high tech from Silicon Valley. Los Angeles and Southern California sits in the middle of all of that. And we worked really hard. It took us about 18 months with faculty, alumni, business leaders, our board of advisors, board of visitors, our current students, to come up with this phrase, because we think it captures the spirit of what makes Anderson a different place. If you go to Berkeley, you'll hear something else. You go to Chicago, you'll hear yet another thing. Each school has its own flavor, and we think in the next is a good capture of the flavor of the culture of Anderson. And we have our 3 pillars. Please pardon my high-tech graphic here. This is think fearlessly, drive change, and share success. To me, think fearlessly is what you think about when you think about grad school. I want to become more intelligent. I want to make myself a more critical thinker. I want to be able to peer around corners. I want to be able to see things that other people just can't see from the same data set. That's why you go to grad school, to become a critical thinker, have the ability to articulate your ideas, to win arguments, to have people see things the way you see them, such that they get on your team, they give you money, they give you time, they give you their commitment. So becoming intelligent, that's part of it. Sharing success, that's the middle. That's the heart. You're going to put people in your LinkedIn for the next 30, 40 years of your life who are going to become amazing people. They're already amazing people, but they're just getting started when they get to Anderson. And the trajectory, remember I said trajectory is more important than destination. The trajectory that everybody takes when they come to grad school to aim at something higher. So you're gonna think smarter. You're gonna have a better network. You're gonna think fearlessly. So you're gonna share success. We have this incredible collegial atmosphere that we call share success. And then there's the third part. That's just your hands and feet. That's your gut. That's your body, right? You got to go do things. You can be the most intelligent person in the room. You can be the most intelligent person in the room, but if you don't raise your hand, if you don't open your mouth, if you don't drive change, nothing changes. So we want to have our graduates be the triple threat. We want them to be the smartest person in the room. We want them to be the most collaborative person in the room. And we want them to be the most confident person in the room. So that's who we say we are at UCLA Anderson. And we back that up with our faculty, with our programs, and with our students and alumni. So I want to talk about these three elements: think fearlessly, drive change, and share success. Your head, your body, and your heart. I want to talk about all three of those elements. So let's just get pragmatic for a minute. Think fearlessly. This is a six-figure investment in your future. Why would you want to make that investment in your future? Well, let's talk about that. Let's just talk about some ROI type information. So usually I do this interactive. I ask people, what's a good raise? And people say, oh, 10%. Some people say 12%. Some people say 15%. But whatever that number might be for you, just think about it for a second. Like, what's a raise? If you got a raise this year, what's a raise that would make your eyebrows go up and down? Write it down if you got a piece of paper. Is it 10%? Is it 8%? 12%? And think about that in the face of this economy that we have also, because this is a tricky one that we're about to ride through the next 6 months or 12 months. So typically when I ask this question with a live audience, I hear 10, 12, maybe 15%. Those are good raises. Oh, somebody said 100%. I like that on the chat. Very good. All right. So here's what we find on average. We average, we survey our students during the program. Salaries typically go up 23 to 34%. That's a pretty constant range of the salary impact during the 2 to 3 years of FEMBA. So most FEMBAs start the program base salary, not bells and whistles, but base salary about $85,000 to $90,000. That's a typical 29, 30, 31-year-old student in our program. A lot of variance on that. People lower than that, entrepreneurs, people with variable 100% commission people, and then people who are a lot higher than that also. But that's the average where people start, and that typically goes up 23 to 34% during the 2 to 3 years of the program. This data point we're so proud of for the spring 2019 graduates last fall. So that was over 218 people who graduated in spring. Some people graduated early, some people took longer, graduated later. But for the majority of people in the class of 2019, and with a 75% response rate, their salary went up 49% from the fall of 16 to the fall of 2019. We asked for people to give us their salary 3 to 4 months after graduation. So for the people who just graduated last year, they started the program about $89,000, almost $90,000 on average. And with a 75% response rate, we had an uptick of 49%. So like I said, going back a slide, typically 23 to 34. Last year, this is our best result we ever. We didn't always actually measure this, but we've started measuring it the last couple of years, and this is our best result. Hey, the world just got really crazy the last 2 weeks. Who knows what's going to happen? But this is the ballpark. This is the mental ballpark of the people who will be in class with you if you choose to get your MBA. This is the kind of result people are looking for. And you got to kind of think about, what kind of life do I got to live to get that kind of bump? And you probably got to have one of those up and down spikes like I showed you. You got to go to school. You got to meet some new people. You got to retool your skill set. You got to retool the market's expectation of what you're capable of. And then you got to re-enter the market or get promoted where you are. You got to take on a lot of new accountability. You got to stretch. You got to get out of your comfort zone. You got to do stuff that you've never done before. People don't get a 49% raise doing the same job that they're doing now. Companies just don't work that way. It'd be great if they did. All of us are worth more than we get paid most of the time. But companies have a lot of constraints. And typically the way you grow your salary is you zigzag. You zigzag within your company. You zigzag within your industry. Sometimes you make a sharp right turn and you zigzag into a brand new industry. And the MBA is a great way to give yourself the knowledge and the network and the confidence, your head, your heart, your gut, the knowledge, the network, and the confidence to make that happen. So you got your phones with you. Take your pre-UCLA salary, write it down, take out the little calculator function, multiply by 1.23, get a number. Now I'm talking to you. I can see you. Big brother's watching. Come on, do the exercise. It's fun. You're making $100,000. Let's do easy math, right? $100,000 by times 1.23. You're making $123,000 2 to 3 years from now. That's the small realm. That's the small end of the salary impact. 34% is more on the high end. So 100,000 times 1.34, 134,000. Or you can multiply by last year's spring graduates, and you take that 100,000 and multiply it by 0.49, and now you're making 150,000. So just find out what that number is for you, and then compare that to what's on your horizon if you don't get an MBA, right? Maybe 5% this year, maybe 7% next year. Who knows the year after that? Maybe cumulative, you get 13, 14% raise over the next couple years. Okay, so this is our typical range, 23 to 34%. Last year's graduates reported on average of 49%. So here's another, it's a little bit of an old stat now. Business Week did this once. Bloomberg Business Week did an alumni survey in 2015. They've not done it since, so it's a little bit of an old stat. I wish they would do it again. But in 2015, they surveyed alumni 5 to 8 years after FEMBA. And those alumni, again, this was 5 years ago, in the middle of the boom, but not anyway, it was a point in time. It's not a longitudinal data set. But their salaries had gone up 137% 5 to 8 years after FEMBA. So if you want to calculate a 137% raise, you take your salary now pre-UCLA 2020, starting the program, and then you look 5 to 8 years after graduation. So if you start the program now, you're going to graduate in 2023. So 5 to 8 years later is 2028 to 2013. And if you want to figure out what a 137% raise is, it's tricky math. You got to multiply by 2.37. So if you're making $100,000 when you walk in the door at Anderson, 5 to 8 years later, you could be in the $237,000 salary range. So that's the kind of trajectory. Remember, I said trajectory is more important than position. That's the kind of trajectory that your classmates have. That's the kind of trajectory that you have. I want to be the CEO of my own life, not just my own career. I want to be the CEO of my own life. And I'm going to get an MBA at one of the best schools in the nation, definitely the best school in California, in our humble opinion. And this is the kind of outcome that people get. Okay, so that's thinking fearlessly. 137%. I hope that would be a wow. But it's more than just ROI, and ROI is important. I wasn't going to be able to pay to have a life. I didn't have the money to have a woman want to be my wife with my little motorcycle and no kitchen, right? I had to transform my life. You guys are way further along than I was when I got my MBA. That's what makes you working professional, fully employed MBA students. But it's more than just ROI. Remember, I told you I love my job. I get to do stuff like this, be with you all tonight. It's a special job that I have. So it's not just how much you make, but it's also the impact you get to make with the time you give to work, people you get to be with, the people you get to impact. You give yourself that new trajectory. All right, so let's talk about confidence. This is the gut check, right? You can be the smartest person in the room. If you don't raise your hand, nothing changes. Okay, so let's talk about driving change. So these are some rhetorical questions. Just sit where you are and ask yourself. Sometimes people say, well, should I do the fully employed? Should I do executive? Should I do the daytime program? Here's the cascade of questions that has you know you're a FEMBA candidate. Do you like your job? Yes or no? Do you like your boss or your upline? Yes or no? Do you like your peers? Do you like the people you spend time with day to day? Do you like results? Do you like to see results in real time? Do you like a paycheck? That should be part of that. Do you like the comfort of a paycheck every 2 weeks or every month? And do you know that you want an MBA? If half of those answers or more are yes, then the fully employed MBA program is designed for you. If you don't like your job, if you don't like your boss, if you don't like your peers, if you're not in a hurry, you don't need a paycheck, hey, our full-time program is a world beater. It is an excellent program, like I said, taught by the same faculty. It's fun to be a full-time grad student. I got to do it. It was great. Only problem is you don't make any money. And if you've been used to having some money in your pocket, it's kind of a shock to go back to being a full-time grad student, but it's available. If you're already making over 175,000, if you're a person who hires and fires people, who hire and fire people, then you may want to consider our executive MBA program. That's another excellent program. It's a slightly smaller cohort, but it's the same faculty, gets done in 2 years. But that's, again, not what I'm talking about tonight. I'm talking about FEMBA, which is the fully employed MBA program. So when's the best time to look for a job? Everybody knows this. I can't do this because we're not live. Best time to look for a job is while you have a job. And that's going to be more true than ever. This is some free career advice. The most important thing you can do for the next month to 90 days is make yourself indispensable. Just make yourself indispensable, right? This is not a time for sidebar projects. This is not a time for someday benefit. This is a time to show your organizations that they would be slowed down and unable to hit their business objectives if you were not part of your team where you are. So just make yourself indispensable. I got laid off 6 weeks after 9/11. It's annoying to have to go find a new job when the economy slows down. You're big people. I know you could do it, but the easiest way to avoid that outcome is just make yourself indispensable for the next 30 to 90 days. So while you're at FEMBA, you're going to have a lot of friends who've got jobs, and that becomes job security for you because you can get hired by your classmates while you're here. So the third pillar, think fearlessly, drive change, and share success. So I want to just touch on share success here for a second. We have a phrase that we love that our students came up with, our FEMBA council back in 2015, handshakes to hugs. And the idea is you start orientation and everybody's shaking hands. It's very professional, very, very formal. And then by the time you get to graduation, it's a cry fest. And you've really made lifetime friendships. People form companies together. People get married. People make all kinds of partnerships. If you want to have a great life, surround yourself with great people. And the common challenge of FEMBA, this kind of work-life, family balance, school scheduling odyssey that you go on, the journey that you go on with these incredible people, it pulls you together and you will be friends forever. And it may sound like marketing, but it's true. We did an alumni survey last year. The thing that FEMBA alumni miss the most is each other. More than the faculty, more than the global immersions, more than the global access program, more than the venture accelerator, more than all the clubs and activities. They miss each other. And you don't realize how much it becomes part of your rhythm to get to see this great group of people every week or every 3 weeks if you do our hybrid schedule. So FEMBA has an incredible level of support. Your faculty are going to support you. The career team is going to support you. Your peers are going to support you. Raymond, Christy, Roy, all of us in admissions and financial aid, we're all going to support you. We graduate almost every single person who starts our program. So that's this. This is a recent alumni picture here. What do alumni miss most? Alumni miss each other the most. That's the biggest thing that they miss when the program is over. Even though you're ready to get to the finish line and you feel like you've run a marathon, you're going to miss the camaraderie that comes with the program. And you're going to be networking with people at these type of companies. These are the big blue chips: Accenture, Bank of America, Baxter, Boeing, Chevron. Boeing's our #1 lifetime employer. Cisco, Disney, Google, Intel, McMaster Carr. A lot of great people from the Young Trainees program at McMaster Carr. Entertainment, MGM, Nestle, Northrop, Qualcomm, Sony. Military, Air Force, the Navy. UCLA is a big employer, Warner Brothers, Yahoo. So a lot of your classmates will work for companies where you know the name of their company, but a whole bunch of your classmates will be the only person at their company. You will have never heard of their company because 90% of people in LA County work at a company or an employer with fewer than 100 employees. Here's an example we love to tell. A guy named John starts the program a couple years ago. He's working for Boeing. He's an engineer. He's happy. Like I said, Boeing's our #1 lifetime employer. Halfway through FEMBA, he gets hired to go over to Santa Monica and work at Riot Games, League of Legends. And he goes from kind of buttoned up, formal Boeing government security clearance and all that to cats on skateboard in a total modern come in at noon and work till midnight type of riot games environment. He was there for the second half of FEMBA, and then he left that career and started a whole new career in human resources for yet a third employer. So here's a guy who walked in the door, just wanted to enhance his career at Boeing, and got hired by a classmate and had an experience he would have never had otherwise, and then transitioned to that into an entirely new career, and as happy as he can be working in human resources. I told you about our podcast earlier. This is our $100 million podcast. The gentleman in the middle here, this is Brian Thomas. He's a serial entrepreneur. He graduated a few years ago. He co-founded Clutter. He's since left active leadership of that company. When he left Clutter, I think they were up to $275 million in venture financing. Every time they opened up a new city, they would hire 2 MBAs, a director of operations and a director of marketing. So here was a guy who created a company that took off like a rocket ship. He was hiring his own classmates. He was hiring full-time MBAs. You can listen to his podcast down here at the bottom of this screen. I hope you can see that link. Or just Google UCLA Drive Time, Brian Thomas. So these are the kind of experiences that you get to have when you come to FEMBA. If you're married, we got some podcasts for you. Naseem Afsar here. She was the chief quality officer of UCLA Health while she was here. Mark Lee was an entrepreneur in entertainment, was raising a family while he went through FEMBA. Those are some podcasts you can listen to. If you're single, the number one factor in who you're going to marry, it's not ethnicity, it's not religion, it's not race, it's not your favorite sports team. The number one factor of who you're going to marry is proximity. We marry people that we are around, right? So the old expression of if you want to catch a fish, go where the fish are. UCLA, not just Anderson. Anderson's great, but UCLA overall is one of the most dynamic environments in the world. We have over 125 different graduate programs of study. We attract some of the most amazing human beings, beautiful on the outside, beautiful on the inside. And we attract them from all over the world into 125 different programs of study. Remember I told you about Leadership Labs? That's the pilot that I'm going to run with medicine, public health, social welfare, and the executive MBA program. So if you get admitted this year, April 28th, a date in May, and a date in June, you're going to have 3 different optional opt-in pre-grad school onboarding evenings that I'm co-teaching with a professor from social welfare. And you're going to get a chance to mingle with doctors, with public health professionals, with social welfare, grad students, with executive MBAs, and your fellow FEMBAs. So the number one factor in who you're going to marry is who you hang out with. Come to UCLA, hang out with these incredible people. Whether or not you get a husband or a wife or a boyfriend or girlfriend, you can start a company, or you can just make some incredible, great friendships that'll last you for the rest of your life. This Wooden Center reference here, we have an incredible state-of-the-art exercise facility. It's about a 5-minute walk from the parking lot in the opposite direction that you'll take when you walk into class every week. The John Wooden Exercise Center is a great place. You can join it, way cheaper than Equinox. It's open to you once you join the program. All right, let me keep my eye on the time. So we're gonna do another breakout group. I got 6:57, 6:56 here. I'm going to send you into groups again, and it should be the same group. If the system works the way I think I set it up, you should go into the same group you were in last time, so you don't have to reintroduce yourself. But you got new questions this time. What do you want most from an MBA, and why? Okay, so again, we'll do about 2 minutes each. I might get a little bit quicker this time, so maybe aim for a minute and a half. Let's do a minute and a half just so we can do Q&A when we get back. All right, but share with each other. Do you want to think fearlessly? Is this mostly academic for you? You want to sharpen your toolkit? You want to become a finance expert or a marketing expert or real estate? Or is it about the network? Are you really driven by the people you're going to, faculty, students, and alumni that you're going to put in your LinkedIn? Or in this one's there for people. Is this about confidence? Do you want to drive change? Okay, so all of these are great. Any of one is good. Any one of those is good. I am going to send you into the breakout rooms. It's California time. It's 7:05 or so here, 7:07. So we went over about 5 minutes for the first 2/3 of the evening. What I wanted to do now is is really kind of open this up for questions and answers that you have. So I guess I'm not sure how to manage this. We got 60 people or 65 people here, 70. I think, yeah, okay, let's do that. Okay, Joseph has got the great etiquette. So if we raise hands, I will call on people as they raise their hands. Let's do that. Great idea. All right, Joseph, what question can I ask for you? Just please unmute yourself and let's talk. Are you able to unmute yourself, or do I have you?
Can you hear me now?
Ah, perfect. Hi, Joseph. How are you? Tell us where you are and what you do and what's your question.
I'm in the medical device industry in San Diego. I'm a product manager. And my question is the representation of the different industries within the EMBA, if there's a breakdown of that, and if it's similar to the full-time program.
It looks a lot like Southern California.
Okay.
So it's a real Mod Podge. You know, if you go to Northwestern in Chicago, everybody focuses on marketing. If you go to university, if you go to Chicago Booth on the South Side, that's pretty much a finance type school. Anderson is very eclectic. So we our student body looks very much like the full-time program. It's diverse. It's just diverse. It's the breadth and depth of Southern California. So the industry representation between the two is very similar, and what it looks like is that kind of Southern California Mod Podge of a little bit of entertainment and a little bit of consulting and a little bit of healthcare and a little bit of high tech, a little bit of nanotech, a lot of real estate in the background, decent number of entrepreneurs, and a lot of people who are going to inherit family businesses someday. So does that help a little bit?
Yeah, no, it does. The SoCal breakdown I'm quite familiar with, so that does. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Joseph. Thanks for tuning in from San Diego. I see Zhaojian01. Zhaojian, could you unmute? Tell us who you are, where you are, and what question I could answer.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Hi.
Hi, sorry, it says that I was muted. Hi, my name is actually Xiao Yu. My screen name just happens to be Xiao Zhang, but I work in Los Angeles for the world's largest manufacturer. I currently work in business development, and I have a strong feeling I'll be moving into product management pretty soon.
Nice.
My question for you is, if my grades were not stellar in undergrad, what can I do to bolster my application? And if this isn't the right seminar for that, I'm just wondering, am I going to not be considered if my grades in undergrad, which I graduated from 7 years ago, were not extraordinary?
No, it's, I mean, we have some other events. We have one called Admissions 101, but if it's important to you, it's important to us. I won't go super deep into all the admissions stuff. We'll send you a thank you email. Thanks for attending the webinar tonight. You can reach out to us. Well, actually, don't even wait for that. If you go to contact us on our website, my email is there, Raymond, all of us, and all of the public-facing admissions team, we do one-on-ones. So we're happy to do a deep dive. But a quick thumbnail heads up is who you were then and who you are now are not the same person. And that's what you want to communicate to the faculty committee. So your resume, your promotions, your letters of recommendation, your essays, and your test scores, GRE, GMAT, or executive assessment, if you have more than 10 years of work experience. Okay, so let us talk to you one-on-one and let us reassure you, because people get crazy about that. And we have an older student body, so your grades are important, but they're not the only thing. It's fully employed MBA. So fully employed is before MBA. It's both an academic experience and it's a life experience for mid-career people. Does that help?
That helps. Thank you so much, Dylan.
No, thanks for the question. I'm sure other people have it too. Thank you for asking it. Tell me your name again. I'm sorry.
It's Xiao Yu.
Xiao Yu. Very nice to meet you. Yeah, so please follow up with us and we'll get a one-on-one and we'll get all that resolved for you, okay?
Thank you, Dylan.
All right, thanks, Xiao Yu. I see Jake Hirsch. Jake, could you unmute and let me get your question? Jake.
Hi.
Hey, hi, Jake. How are you?
Doing great. So I'm currently in Seattle, Washington.
Oh, wow. How are you guys
Yeah.
doing?
Well, I think we officially got the shelter in place, but all good. We're happy to be here. So I'm a program manager at Amazon. And I
Nice.
was wondering if you had any insights on the specializations, like how many students choose to pursue them, and is it common and or possible to pursue multiple specializations?
Sure. Thank you. That's a great question, Jake, and I'm sure a lot of people have it. So we have, I don't actually even know because the total number, because we raise it all the time. We have at least 7 or 8 specializations, and then our goal is typically anytime the full-time adds one, we add it the next year. So we have 2 schools of thought about the specializations. On the one hand, they are a wonderful way to take the second half of your curriculum. So you get to customize 45% of an Anderson MBA. There are 20 courses to get the degree, Jake. 11 of those courses are preset. So the first year and a quarter plus the master's thesis, although there are variations on the master's thesis. You can do the global access program or the business creation option, or you can do one of our finance specializations. So, but basically 11 courses are core, 9 of the 20 courses, 45% are elective. So typically specializations require about 4 courses in a domain. So real estate, finance, marketing, entrepreneurship are popular ones. There's also sustainability. They're just a lot. We're going to have one on big data that's kind of evolving along with our Master of Science in Business Analytics. So it's very easy to get one specialization. It's very easy to get 2 specializations. Depending on how you use your units, you can get 3. They're honestly more of a big deal to our full-time MBA students because our full-time MBA students very often are doing a pivot where they need to establish credibility in a new part of their career, and they don't have any evidence that they've been working in engineering and they want to get into marketing, for instance. So our full-time students use the clubs. They join the marketing club. They get an officer role. That's something for the resume, and they get a marketing specialization so they can say, "Hey, I was the vice president of student affairs for the marketing club, and I have a marketing specialization, and I want to work for you at Procter and Gamble in a post MBA onboarding marketing rotation." So fully employed MBA students don't necessarily often need that same kind of leverage. Specializations are a little bit more of a nice to have than a have to have, but they're available. People love them, or people ignore them totally. It's kind of bipolar, but they're totally there and they're available for you. Once you're in the program, obviously you get prognostication, you get foreshadowing of the electives that are going to be 1, 2, and 3 quarters down the road, so you can map out, and choose your pathway. Jake, does that help? Nope, I don't see him anymore. Okay, I hope that helps. All right, specializations was that question. All right, Graham McNeil, I see your hand up. Please unmute, tell us who you are, and let me answer your question, Graham. Graham, are you there?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. Hi. Oh, and everybody just know if you turn on the chat in parallel, Raymond is also answering questions in the chat while I'll try to. Oh, thank you, Jake. I see you got muted again. Thanks for your question. And hello, Graham. Hi. Where are
Hi.
you? Where are
Pretty
you
good.
calling from?
Calling from Phoenix, Arizona, right? The beautiful temperate state, working remotely for a natural gas company, doing a little bit of sales analytics, real estate, etc.
Oh my goodness, your industry is getting pounded right now, the oil and gas. So
Yeah, well, we're actually the alternative fuels, so we're getting pounded, but not as bad.
okay, well, good. I'm glad you've got a position. For everybody on the call, make yourself indispensable. That's my advice for tonight. Free advice. So please take it. All right.
Yeah, but to be fair, we do like high oil. So
Yeah.
my question is about the entrepreneurship specialization. I'm just wondering what kinds of resources you guys offer to the FEMBA students that to help foment students creating and expanding their own businesses.
Thank you, Graham. I need to pay you to ask that question. Yeah, we do entrepreneurship better than anybody. It's us or it's Berkeley. If you go full time, then you can put Stanford in the mix. but the West Coast schools, it's just, God bless you in Phoenix, right? You can afford a home with a roof and everything when you live in Phoenix. When you live in Southern California, it is an expensive place to live, and everybody becomes an entrepreneur here. So our faculty think that way. Our local economy is built that way. It's one of the 7 Mediterranean climates in the world. Everybody wants to live here. If you come to America, you want to go to San Francisco, Los Angeles, or New York City, typically, stereotypically spoken. And all of that influx of human capital makes it a very competitive place to live. So people end up having their primary career, and they have a couple of sub careers. Everybody here is hyphenated. I'm a mortgage broker / investment banker / and then they got a third thing on the side. So it's a kind of a hustly kind of environment to live and work and succeed in Southern California. So our faculty think that way. Our students think that way. Everybody is that way because of the pressure of making it here. So the resources we have are many. I joked earlier, entrepreneurship is in the water. I've written 3 books myself since I started working here. My team, we never do anything the same way twice. We evolve in real time, just like you're going to evolve in natural gas or the gas industry. So specifics. The master's thesis that most people do is the Global Access Program. 80% of FEMBAs do that. That's a 6-month entrepreneurially focused master's level consulting project where you and 4 of your self-chosen classmates create a team, and then you bid for one of about 45 internationally based early stage, high tech, high growth companies. And in a non-disclosure environment, you and your 4 classmates do 6 months of analysis and present an investment quality business plan at the end of the 6 months to a panel of industry experts. So these are real entrepreneurs, real investors, real VCs who are used to saying thumbs up and thumbs down. And you get to test drive everything you've learned in FEMBA. So 80% of our master's degree students do that entrepreneurially minded master's completion experience, the Global Access Program. About 20% of our students do the business creation option, which is even more entrepreneurially minded. Again, it's a group experience. You and your classmates come together to actually launch a company, and you build out in our venture accelerator. We have a 10,000 square foot, the bottom floor of the library. We converted it 2.5 years ago, 100% entrepreneurship, center of activity for the entire campus. It's an interdisciplinary environment with everything that small burgeoning companies need: physical space, but more importantly, coaching, resources, access to networks. Last year, half of the business creation option teams were able to launch. So just those 2 examples alone, the Global Access Program or the business creation option, covers 100% basically of the FEMBA students. There's a very small subset of people who do we have a 3rd track, which is it's the Anderson Student Asset Management, which is a finance track where you actually get a portfolio and you manage a portfolio for an applied master's thesis. But even that is very entrepreneurially minded. So at a high level, that's what's built into the program for everyone. As I said to Jake's question one before, 9 of your 20 courses are electives, so you get to customize. And we have 50 clubs and activities in the Anderson Student Association: professional clubs, personal clubs, and common identity, and then social clubs. And all of those are the mixy, matchy, find each other type environments that are available at Anderson. So you find the other like-minded people. The Entrepreneurs Association, the EA, everybody calls it, the EA of the 50 clubs is one of the largest and most popular clubs year in and year out. So there's a tremendous amount of resources between our field studies, between the Venture Accelerator, and then finally our Price Center. The Price Center is our center of excellence for entrepreneurial studies. So I'm sorry that's kind of a fire hose, Graham, but I want to kind of say the broad pool of resources. You can do a lot of drill downs on our website and find a lot of little nooks and crannies of all kinds of other amazing things. Almost every time I record a podcast, somebody tells me something amazing that I've never heard of, like a subspecialty in sports management or a healthcare focused entrepreneurial startup that's trying to build bridges between North Campus business school students and South Campus med students, all those types of things. So I hope that helps, Graham. I'm just kind of going fast to try to get to as many as I can, okay?
Yeah, that answers my question. Thank you very much.
Yeah, just, we're just as good as Berkeley. We think we're better. You know, it's a great place to open up your world. The Brian Thomas podcast, his classmates thought his idea was dumb. It's terrible, but true. And he stuck with it anyway. And he had one professor who said, I think you got a puncher's chance. And that's a boxing metaphor, which means you're the little guy and the big guy's probably going to punch you. But, if you could just get your right jab in there at the right moment. And that's all Brian needed. Professor Shinerock said, I think you got a puncher's chance. And that's all Brian needed. And he ran with his idea. And when he stepped aside as active CEO, like I said, they were at $275 million in their third or fourth round of venture funding raised. So, that's the kind of stuff that's cooking around where we are. Thank you, Graham. I see Shaylin Stanley. Shaylin, if I hope I'm saying that right, would you like to unmute and ask your question?
Sure. It takes a second. Okay. Hi. Yeah, Shaylin. Thanks.
Hi, Shaylin. How are you? Where are you located?
Yeah. So I'm actually in Washington, D.C. So I'm a bit of a flight away.
Oh,
but I work. Yeah. But I work in international development. I do kind of a combination of like marketing and partnerships for a nonprofit. So I'm in the sustainability and social impact space.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah. And I actually have two quick questions, if that's okay. My first is I served for 2 years in the Peace Corps, and I'm wondering if if your admissions team looks at that as volunteer experience or as work experience.
Well, it's a hybrid, but you're going to get total credit for that. So don't worry about if you're trying to hit our average on work experience. We love rotations, we love multiple internships, and we love the Peace Corps. We love Teach for America. We put that in a bucket of post undergraduate, high quality, high learning, similar to paid work experience, sometimes less valuable, sometimes more valuable. So talk about it a lot, Shaylin. We love that.
Okay, great.
And
then
let me just add to that. I'm sorry, also, because
Yeah.
we have a lot of students from the Mormon tradition who've done their missionary work. So, we count that as robust life experience, which makes you a better classmate if you talk about it well in your essays. So, make sure you tell us, put it on your resume, Shaylin, tell us about it. Why did you choose that? What did you learn from it? It's not, of course, we're proud of you that you did it, but the way you make it really sing, and this is for everybody, about anything in your resume. If you work for a family business, right? Like, what have you learned from that makes you an incredible classmate? That's the story we want to kind of hear. Okay.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure.
And then my second question is, it will make more sense for my timing to apply round 2 versus round 1. And I'm wondering if there's a significant difference in terms of how competitive the rounds are between those first 2 rounds.
We actually have 3 rounds, and we're going to keep the application open after April 7, just because this year is not normal. We do not run out of seats. We run out of applicants who meet our threshold. So it's not about timing. We're very different. Executive and fully employed student bodies are different than full-time programs. Full-time programs tend to fill up in round 1 and 2 because everybody's going to quit their job and move to school typically. So don't worry about your round. The statistical chances of getting admitted, you're not disadvantaged if you apply at the end. In fact, we get the majority of our applications in round 3 and even after.
Oh, okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Shaylin. Thanks for dialing in from DC. We appreciate it. And you guys try to keep guiding us from over there. Erica, you're going to be the last one, and then I've got a couple slides, and we'll officially end. I may go a couple minutes long, and then I can stay on and answer some more questions. But Erica, please unmute yourself and introduce yourself, and let me answer your question. Erica Trin. Hi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Hi, Erica.
Great. Hi, so I'm in Los Angeles right now working in the healthcare industry and genetic testing, so it's been a little wild with the COVID 19. But essentially, I would like to transition to an operational role at my company. But being in the healthcare industry, I would kind of like to do a specialization in that. I know the full-time program has a healthcare management specialization, but I'm wondering for the part-time if there's any resources or electives that could also help bolster that.
Sure. And what I was trying to say earlier is typically the evolutionary pathway has been the full-time students say, hey, we need another specialization. And the faculty create it to satisfy that and then just extend it into the FEMBA and the Executive MBA student bodies. So the great thing about our program is we keep space in all of the electives for people from the other programs. So when you get to electives, you have even more schedule choice than you had in the core, because you can take classes with the daytime students in the elective phase. You can take classes with the Executive MBA students in the elective phase, and vice versa. They can take questions with you too. So anything you see on our website about the healthcare specialization that might seem like it's full-time centric, that's going to extend to executive and part-time students also. Oops, I think you're muted. I'm not sure. So I hope that answers your question. Also, you said you want to get into an operational role. Our DOTM is our Department of Operations and Technology Management. That's one of our centers of excellence. And our operations faculty are world class. So if you want to give yourself, if you want to bolster up your credibility to be a candidate for an operational role, that's a very available pathway, Erica.
Thank you for your feedback.
All right. Well, I'm going to stop formally answering questions. I'm going to just do a couple of quick slides here, and then I'll continue to stay on and answer some questions afterwards, but I want to stick to the timing. So, right now we are keeping our round 3 deadline as is, even with all of the disruption. So April 7, if you apply by the round 3 deadline of April 7, then we will give you an answer as promised on the brochure and on the website. There are 2 main changes. The April 18 interview day is going to obviously be phone only because there is no on-campus meeting happening at UCLA right now, per the reality of the moment. So we're Raymond, who's answering the chat questions, is an incredibly gifted operational expert, and he is setting us up. So we're going to do phone interviews on April 18th. So the way it works is you apply for round 3, you hit submit, you pay your $200 application fee, you get a link that says thank you for applying, and then you get to choose your interview time, and then we will pair you up. We'll get a phone number exchange going to you and your either current or alumni student interviewer on April 18th. The big question that's been coming in, some of the testing centers have closed. Will we accept exams after April 7? And the answer is yes. The sooner we get your exam, the sooner we read your application, but we're going to take exams all the way through April for sure, definitely into May, possibly even into June. So we heard this morning that the GRE is working on using an online ProctorU system such that you can take the GRE remotely. We haven't heard the update from GMAC yet. I know their team is working like crazy. So, for now, maybe don't worry about the exam for a week or 2 while that sorts itself out. Focus on your essays, get your recommenders if you're aiming for the April 7 deadline. If you're going to apply after April 7, like I said, we're going to accept applications on a rolling basis after that. We just can't promise. It takes us we can't promise you exactly when you'll get your decision because it depends on when you get us all your materials, but we will stay open longer. If you're admitted in round 2, some of you may have already applied from round 2. We are going to have an online welcome for people from round 1 and round 2 both on April 4th. That was going to be an in-person event. We're going to transition that. So if any of you are on this call who've already applied in round 1 and round 2, we're on track to get our round 2 admission decisions out by our promised deadline this week on Thursday. We're going to be able to get almost all the decisions out. There are a couple that have some logistical things we're working on. As I said, test deadlines are set to extend. Some of you may know that we do this big summer extravaganza called Palooza. Currently it's scheduled for July 11, but at the moment it is on hold due to the situation. But we'll put all these dates on our website and we'll email them to you as we develop them. Just to end on this kind of positive note, hey, it's a crazy moment in history. And Anthony, you asked the question of how do you communicate the value of UCLA to get the 49% raise? That was a great question that you put in the chat box, Anthony. Well, maybe this speaks to that. Most people take 3 years to do FEMBA. Like I said, you could shorten it down to 2.5. You could shorten it down to 2 years if you're in a hurry. But mostly, if you want to think about this is 3 academic years, it's about 1,000 days to reinvent yourself. And just think about it. If you can get 0.1% better at being you, at being the CEO of your own life, about thinking fearlessly, about sharing success, about building your confidence, you can be way more than 100% better, because it doesn't, that's not counting for the compounding that happens. And it's not counting for the compounding that happens to your peers as they go with you on this journey. So I want to officially end. We're 3 minutes over, so I want to officially thank you all. We had about 80 people from around the world on this event. Oh my God, Raymond's fingers are going to fall off all these questions he's answering on chat. Send me, my email is on the website, is dylan.stafford, dylan.stafford@anderson.ucla.edu. I've got this one-on-one scheduling feature, so you can get on my calendar very easily. Raymond, Christy, Roy, Chris, Aaron. Well, Aaron's busy putting your applications together, but Raymond, Christy, Roy, myself, we're happy to meet with you one-on-one and guide you forward. Anything else I have on this last slide? The end. All right. So it's 1,000 days to invent yourself. So again, we'll officially stop here. I will turn on the chat feature and kind of watch the questions that are coming in on chat. And I will turn on the participant feature. So if you have questions, just keep raising your hand and I will keep on answering them. I'm already home. I don't have to drive anywhere, so I can answer some more questions. But officially, Godspeed, God bless, wash your hands, be safe out there. Thank you for being the people who are building the economy that my children will get to work in. And I very much hope that we will have you here as part of the community in the upcoming months. We're still open for business, and we're going to ride this wave, and we're going to keep on being UCLA. We're starting our second 100 years, and we're going to do as much history making as we did in the first. So officially, I'm going to stop recording now, but we're going to hang around and answer questions until we get your questions answered. And thank you very